Wow, it has been a very different series than what we were expecting coming in. So far, Classic just kind of keeping on the aggression, altering his timings, making it very hard for Serral to predict or even to scout what he's doing. But Serral does lead 2-1. I'm going to stop guessing what Classic's up to because I think that's what he wants.
Yeah, I mean, he's played a completely different set of builds. You can see each one was designed to look so different, or basically function so different from what his reputation has been built off of. Truly somebody who's come in here prepared. The red, he is Serral. And his opponent up here in the top left, in the blue, he is Classic.
All right, gateway goes down, and he will go ahead and scout. Serral, of course, bringing down his drone, throwing down that hatchery. Nothing too weird here to start out, at least.
Every game that we've had so far has been Classic looking like it's going to be a normal macro game, and then the hard fork comes in.
Yes.
And he deviates from that. A very unusual timing there from Serral. That was, sorry, from Classic in that last game. That's one that's not intended to kill the Zerg, but to snowball the death of the drones so much that they're really not viable. They can't compete with a 3-base Protoss. And that's why we saw Serral do that counter all-in. Both of the all-ins that we've seen in this best of 9 so far, I think, have been basically prompted by the moves that Classic went for.
It kind of makes sense when you think about the races in general, right? Like, you look at Terran and Zerg, and they're kind of tiered as far as their tech goes. With Protoss, you know, once that Cybernetics core finishes, you have 3 distinct choices of tech trees that you can go down. So a lot of Protoss's power can be in switching it up a little bit, you know, deciding to go down a different road than what your opponent might expect and try to get some damage with that. But with that being said, I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, is there any chance to see the third route that we really don't see anymore? Do you think Classic might have a robotics build planned for tonight as well?
I was thinking about that, actually.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we're in some ways a little bit deterministic in the matchup with Classic that he will go for Stargate. It's going to be a Stargate again, but just to finish the thought, yeah, I think a robo build would not be a bad move here. I mean, you've got so many games, best of 9, in the history of StarCraft, and the best of 9, by the way, fairly new, introduced by EWC. That's a lot of games, man.
That's a lot of
you
games.
got to have a lot of different strategies, and you have to know how to maneuver from game to game. Sometimes you can do a strategy in a game earlier in the series that you can make it look like you're doing the same thing again later on, and instead layer in a different build from there. I mean, the mind games are going to be crazy here. So I would not be shocked if we do have that robo build later on.
Well, he did actually send the Overlord in, and we'll see the Stargate. A Stalker started for a moment, but then Classic thought better of it and went back to Adept production. So normally when you see something like that, it's like, okay, I guess he's not going to be trying to hide anything. He's just going to let that Overlord do its scouting, and he's going to try to keep his build order online, right? Like, keep it going how he wants. A few Adepts out on the map, maybe trying to harass some drones, and of course the Oracle for some harassment and scouting as well.
So we're going to have the second gateway coming down now, as well as this Oracle's going to move out on the map. The probe sent out here to the third base. Oh, I thought it was going to go back for a second. That's not what it's supposed to do. He's going to throw the pylon down, wedge the Adept in between the mineral patch to keep it safe as far as Zerglings attacking it with the surface area like we see here, and expand. And again, it looks like Classic and every other PvZ that we've seen. Normally, it is a macro game. We were talking about how we're going to try to not predict that anymore because he's deviated 3 games in a row from doing that, probably because he's hoping that Serral is really more ready to anticipate macro game after macro game and play against that. So yeah, we're going to sit back and wait and see what tech exactly Classic is going to go for.
So far, it's exactly the same build as we saw in the previous game. This is that kind of off timing of Adepts. Now, on Serral's side, you can see, once again, he is going for the melee attack upgrade, and that tells us that he's going to focus primarily on Zerglings, which is what the Adepts can counter. Really, you want roaches or possibly a baneling nest, which he just put down.
And it looks like he oh no, he preempted it, but he's gonna come in here and scout this in a second. So the Queen actually lives. The Oracles take damage on the hull, and the Overlord is gonna see exactly what kind of game this is. Now in game 2, when Classic was scouted, he abandoned the tech and tried to do a pretty uncomfortable transition into Stalkers with Blink, and frankly, it was a pretty abysmal mid-game where he was swallowed up alive by Serral. This time, he is not abandoning the tech. The Adept upgrade is going to finish.
Well, he's already put a lot of chrono boosts into it. I think it makes sense. I don't think attacking with it makes sense, though. I think you actually have to sit back. Like, I could see him trying to sneak a couple in and get a few drones here and there, maybe get some scouting, keep Serral back for a moment. But I can't foresee him actually like holding off Ling plus Baneling chasing him.
Okay, we've got the Robo starting here now. The Adepts are going to push in. Now remember, with Banelings, this is a lot easier to stop. We were talking about maybe he shouldn't commit to this. We don't know if he's going to really dive all in yet. It looks like he's going to try to go outside the front, maybe force out some Zerglings and run back home. He's still staying on the outside of the creep. You know, Adepts, they're not that handy the longer the game goes on. It's why when you invest in them, you're going to have a little bit more of a bumpy ride if you don't close out the game, or at least lead in the mid-game there. He's going to shade a couple over here to the side. It looks like he's going down to what would be the 4th, and in fact, there is a 4th base morphing over here now. I don't know that he has enough damage to deny that, though.
All right, the Lings go for a counterattack. A couple of Adepts there do slow them down momentarily. Warps in 4 more Adepts, but the Lings are more than a match for those Adepts. You will have to run his probes away from that 3rd base. In the meantime, this 4th of Serral taking quite a bit of damage.
I don't normally see interactions like this in PvZ. They're both going for the spare bases. I think each side thought the other one would turn around and try to defend or recall, something like that. The Adepts are going to back up. Now, this hatchery's low. It could be picked off later. I don't know that he can come in and do much more now. He doesn't snipe the Orange Queen, and this expansion is still alive. So both sides taking a decent amount of damage, but nobody's really given up an expansion just yet.
Forge on the way, as well as the Templar Archives, so definitely Psystorm going to be coming up. Gets that quick Prism as well. The Prism actually with Adepts, with Glaives, can do very, very well. There's all sorts of little tricks where you drop Adepts out somewhere and then shade them in, pick them up elsewhere with that as well. So we'll see what he gets done with that Prism.
Nice wipe out there of those Adepts on the map. Serral is growing very comfortably. He's expanding over here into the 3 o'clock position. All other bases on this map are a little bit harder for Zerg to obtain, but you know, when Zerg gets on 5 bases, they're very comfortable. We do need to see a 4th base here from Protoss unless they're trying to do a very specific timing attack. Maybe we have that. We have 4 gateways now warping in.
All right, he actually flies over these Banelings. As soon as you see those, you have to deal with them. Those Banelings are waiting for speed to finish most likely and a roll into the 3rd base. So scouting that was a very important moment, but at the same time, Serral sees, oh, okay, there's a Warp Prism out. We have to get some defense up ready for these drops.
And so the Lings are going to come out here. This is the first-person perspective right now of Serral, who is aggressively paving the map with creep as this 5th base is about to finish.
All right, this 5th base finishes up. The Prism going to kind of start flying over. He drops out a few Adepts to pick off this Hydralisk. It's the only thing here that can hit air, so kind of makes sense to try to snipe it. But as you can see, this hasn't been very successful so far, and I don't think it's going to be either for Classic.
Yeah. It's more of a distraction than anything else. The Lings are going to come up and confirm the 4th base, so Serral knows exactly what kind of game he's in. It is going to be that macro game. Serral is ramping up to being maxed out here. He's at 173 supply of 190. And so it could be his turn to attack. The question is going to be, how effective will that attack be? In game 2, we saw that he took out both the 4th and then the 3rd base actually pretty fast. And that was a crippling enough blow that Classic wasn't viable. So we really want to watch the defense here of Protoss. We see cannons coming down here. We see gateways to wall in. We have a Warp Prism in case the Zerg goes all in with everything. He can maybe try to drop over there. And we got to see if Classic can slowly catch up in supply and the rest of the tech.
Well, he's doing some reasonable harassment right here. Drops out the Adepts, gets a few drones. Still his defense coming online back at home. And that's definitely something that's really, really important because Hydra Ling Baneling, which is what Serral's going for right now, is very explosive. If you don't have the right composition to counter this, which is generally like cannons, shield batteries, blink stalkers, maybe a few Archons, and a lot of Psystorm, this will just bust you down.
Okay, I love the wall in here. The Banes are going to come around on both sides. The Archon going to be on the outside. Two Immortals, tucked in over here. Beautiful storms to hit those Banelings.
Yeah, he continues to throw down the storms there. Has to end up making an Archon so that those don't end up falling. More Archons coming down to help as well. Does Classic actually have enough to hold on here? A lot of damage still being dealt by these Hydralisks, and that Nexus looks like it might go down.
Yeah, it's taking a little bit of damage from the two Hydralisks on the left side. They can't quite defend it. The Nexus goes down.
Ooh, a big moment here for Serral. Killing that fourth Nexus is one of the most crucial things you can do in this matchup. Classic is on the back foot.
That's right, Classic sub 100 supply as Serral eyes his next target, the third base.
All right, he drops out the Immortal over here, juggling it a little bit, trying to avoid damage. Some great Psystorms going down for sure. He's got a lot of defensive structures here helping, but very few units at that third. The Hydra's starting to push into the natural. This wall-in won't hold them for long.
Yeah, he takes out the pylon over here. The Cybernetics scored the two gateways unpowered. He takes that out. Now the Robo is no more. It can't make any more Immortals. There has been more and more Zerg units coming up here, and it's too much. GG. Serral wins his third game in this.
Oh, shit.
Man, Classic
Who
keeps
would have
trying to
guessed
get
it
that
would be
early
Serral?
damage, but Serral's defense, like you catch him once, okay, he's not going to let you do it again, and that's exactly what we saw here. The same build 2 games in a row from Classic. We thought it worked once, maybe it would work again, but I don't think that he should be doing that anymore. Serral is just on fire right now.
Yeah, Serral, again, denying late game. We're not really getting to the point in time where you can actually have the Stargate units where Protoss has been able to push. And so it's 3-1, and we really need to see if Classic can start this comeback, because Serral is getting further and further along in this series where he's almost crossed the finish line.
Couple more wins, and he's going to be a 3-time world champion, something completely unheard of.
That's right. Classic has brought a very unusual series of builds. We had the Adept play now twice in a row. And you know, it worked to get his first win. It was scouted in that second game, and you could see what happens when the Zerg sees that it's coming. You just stay out on the map. The Adepts can't even get a distance enough to get onto that the second base where they can bypass the double Evo block.
Yeah.
And by the way, Serral's scouting has been perfect.
Yes.
He seems to know
very
it.
close.
We don't normally talk about like where the Overlord goes in the early game. It's kind of a, you know, one of the basic things you learn in StarCraft. Yeah, you've got a flying unit that's also a farm. You can scout with it. You want to look and see if you can find anything. He seems to know exactly where the tech is going to be, and he's spotting it every time. In the top right, in the red, he is Serral. And in the bottom left, in the blue, our Protoss player, he is Classic.
I really just don't know what to expect anymore.
Yeah, well, you know, any world-class player can come into a series and have an unusual series of builds, because randomizing builds is essential in a series in StarCraft, right? I mean, you know, one of the reasons why a map hack is so strong is if you can see what they're doing, you can usually stop it, right? In a game of StarCraft, at the pro level, a lot of times, if you know what they're going to try to do, you can stop it, right? You can preempt it, and so you have to be unpredictable. You have to have a range of play. Classic has brought in maybe the most unusual set of builds based off what his reputation has been to get this far. I'm kind of blown away. I don't think I've ever seen anybody select a series of openers like this being a macro Protoss.
Yeah, you know, I think he's really trying so hard to be unpredictable, and he's definitely been that. We haven't been able to predict what he's doing, but I think Serral is starting to. You were talking before the series started about how, you know, there's so many games, we'll probably see little adjustments from each player as they learn, oh, okay, this is the type of approach you're taking to the series. And we're definitely seeing that from Serral. I think it's time to see it from Classic. Classic has to look at this and say, okay, he's completely dialed in with the Overlord scouting. He's figuring out what I'm doing. maybe we should just focus on getting up to those 4 bases and making a really strong army.
Yeah, I think he has to slow it down a bit here. Now he's going to show us exactly what his plans are. It's 3-1. You know, if Classic can take this game, obviously it's going to be 3-2. That's very doable. But if this goes up to 4-1, man, that's a lot of games Classic has to win in a row. And when you get up 4-1 in a best of 9, that player that has that lead, he has a lot of room to start to get weird with his builds, right? Most of this series, we've kind of cast it from the perspective of Classic.
Yeah.
And we sort of have to, because he's the one that's starting to make the major decision that impacts what happens. His decision will ripple through the rest of the game and force a Zerg to behave a certain way, to react in a certain style. And again, you know, if it goes up to 4-1, that's when Cyril can get kind of crazy. He can do a weird all-in, and if he loses, okay, it's fine. He's still got plenty more games to try stuff.
Yeah, and I think Cyril, it's likely he'll eventually throw something crazy out there, but his general style is to kind of absorb, to react, to make sure that he's getting as many drones as he can without losing. So, you know, it makes sense that we kind of follow our Protoss player who's, you know, trying to win his first World Championship against one of the most successful players ever to have touched a video game, let alone StarCraft 2. So, you know, we're going to have to sit here and wait and watch. Are we going to see that Twilight come down again? He throws down a Stalker. Now, I actually think he's going to go third base. Very standard play here because of the Stalker. The Stalker comes out and makes sure that the Overlord can't find anything hidden. And that's what he's looking for. He's like, oh, do you have something like a Twilight again?
Right.
Are you going to go Glaives again? So he makes sure you can't see that. And then, yeah, why not go into a more regular game and make him think you're doing it?
He's going to lay a trap here. Are there enough lanes to force a cancel? There are.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really big. Yeah, if you don't have the second adept there, you can't kill the links quite as fast as you want to. And it was subtle, but we saw Cyril take each injured Zergling and loop it around the back so that the adept would retarget. So the damage is distributed evenly along the lings, while the lings are still going to force that cancel. Now, it's not the end of the world. It's not like he lost the building. You had to cancel it. You always lose some resources when you cancel, and then you have to restart it. And that does mean that all those probes that are supposed to go to that expansion are going to get there a little bit later.
Wow, the control Cyril here just out of control. He only gets one drone there and loses an Oracle. The other one very low on energy and taking a lot of hull damage. Just superb defense. Cyril is dialed in.
And, you know, when you lose the second Oracle, then you can't one-shot drones. So now that the function of that Oracle is basically to tag units and to try to monitor. So the harass phase of the game for the Oracles is gone. Now, a couple of Adepts are coming in. Remember that Cyril didn't get the Scout, and so this looks similar to the Adept games in the last 2 games, but it's nowhere near as committed. I don't think that Cyril's going to be sold on this. He doesn't seem to be too worried about this at all. He's going to let this come in here. He's going to pull the drones away. And there's enough lings here that you can't even let the Shades finish. He's going to recall. He actually saves more than I thought he would get. It looks like he gets 5 out in one piece. And I'll tell you what, Artosis, this is a game that's, again, going to the direction we've kind of been predicting for the last 4, right? He didn't commit hard. He didn't get Adept Glaives and try to do near fatal damage. Instead, he's getting that Templar Archives. He's getting his third base up and running, and he's going to start to tag. And back here for Cyril, he's in his macro phase as well. A lot of drones about to hatch as the rest of these upgrades are going to start here for Zerg.
Yeah, both of them getting up into those 60s at about the same time on these workers. So that's pretty good. Cyril does have, of course, his 4th base warping in. And, you know, he's, at least Classic is being busy with the Oracle. He, like, clears a little bit of creep there, still keeping a little bit of tabs on what's going on with his scouting. But yeah, this is looking like the most standard game between these two by far.
So we see the Oracle just continuing to check around here. Classic's going to try to slip in a fast 4th base. And this is sort of where the late game trajectory begins for both sides. It does create a game where the Zerg basically gets to make the first move. And so we're going to see if Cyril decides to try to come in here and flatten that 3rd base, or does he try to just take even more bases and power up? Now, I think Cyril's going to be more inclined to try to go with smashing the bases.
Yeah.
Because it seems like a lot of Zergs that also try to play, you know, single player, so to speak, and just macro up. Usually Classic gets too powerful. That's when the Stargate tech kicks in. And just seeing Cyril now beginning to make roaches, We're getting up to 12, along with a lot of these upgrades that are going to finish. I wouldn't be shocked if he starts to try to hit the third base, the fourth base, the second base in different locations.
Well, he has burrow and burrow movement on the way, so definitely he's going to be splitting units up at that point, but a ton of roaches being made here on his 75 drones. So without any doubt, Serral is going for an attack. Now, can Classic hold against that? He's got 3 different locations that he has to be able to defend. This is one of the weakest points for Protoss. If Classic can defend this well, he can get really far ahead.
He pops the entrance open and just goes right in, killing the one stalker that was basically blocking that, accidentally attacking the platform there on the ground, and he's going to try to come over here. He's in the main. He's going to be doing a lot of damage to these probes. There's a second attack that's winding up to hit both the second and the third.
All right, yeah, looks like he goes for the 4th first here. Brings in the Roaches and Ravagers. He's going to go after this Nexus. Some probes starting to fall. How are you going to deal with this? He brings up some of his High Templars as well as some of these Stalkers. Of course, he's still clearing Roaches in his main base, but Serral is dealing some good damage out here.
Had those Roaches knocked
He's
out
still
the
good,
base.
man.
He's
He's
still
still...
for Classic to defend, but right now Classic going to have to abandon his 4th base. Tuck away back here at
Man,
the 3rd.
look at the map.
The Nexus goes down. And I don't even know if Serral has to keep attacking right now. He might want to try to regroup. It's basically mission accomplished there.
Yeah, the one thing we need to say is, yes, Classic lost his 4th base. He lost
Oh,
some
no.
drones there. Oh, man, this is the fault that's so good. Because I was going to say, right now, Classic's still, like, okay-ish because Serral hasn't been teching. He hasn't been making extra drones. He doesn't really have additional bases, right? But these coming into the main base, this is going to be a huge problem for Classic.
Yeah, he's going to start to lose these workers. The Roaches are going to burrow and spread out to different locations, so it's just harder to find all of them. Meanwhile, we have Classic about to take a 4th base. I think this could be a mistake because it could just be wiped out in a second here from the army that's waiting to come in here and hit this.
Well, it does come in, but he hasn't started that Nexus,
Yeah,
so...
he pulls the probe away.
Yeah, he's being very, very careful right now. This is not an unplayable position for Classic, even though it does look bad. It does look bad. You have to take into consideration he's spent a lot of money on Roaches that he's lost. The overall strength of Classic's army is pretty darn good, even though it's lower in supply. Roaches are not very supply efficient. We have a lot of Psystorm, a lot of Blink Stalkers. You know, it's still playable for Classic, but right now, Serral is taking a 5th base. He's going into his hive. He's getting Baneling speed, multiple upgrades, Hydralisk Den. Like, Serral's doing everything right now, and Classic needs to be very decisive with how he wants to play from here.
We should point out Classic just at 150 supply. He needs to get a little bit more. I agree with your point, Artosis. I think he's done a really good job of basically cleaning this up. There's going to be, oh my God, I spoke a little bit too soon here. A big attack coming in here into the natural. If he can send all of this over here, it's going to be huge. Now he recalls back. He'll pull away here. But again, there's no 4th base. There's nothing down here at 6 o'clock. And so even though you see Protoss survive this, that's kind of not the point. The point is that Protoss can't grow while they're doing this.
Well, we might see a counterattack. I actually feel like that's probably the best course of action because Serral is going up to his Lurker Den right now. Classic actually has very similar army supply. He's playing against Roach, which means his army is better right now. So he's going to start to move out. And I think this attack just has to do very, very well. He needs to kill a lot of army. He needs to kill at least 1 base. And maybe during this, he can get a 4th base up.
He's going to try to push in here now. If this goes well, it could swing the game into Classic's favor. If Serral can stop it, it could end the game right here, right now.
Ooh, some very good Psystorms. Stop a lot of these Banelings from hitting. Psystorms on the bottom, Roaches as well. Hydra, Bane Roach hits the top. Serral bringing in so many units, but as you can see, still a huge standing army here for Classic.
He's going to keep pushing forward. The drones are evacuating. Classic, he has to choose. Does he push further or does he try to take out the base? He's going to do another warping round and try to target down the hatchery.
Very good choice, I think. Kill that off. There's going to be some units maybe hatching there you can get as well. Pushes towards this next base. I'm not sure what that storm was all about, but continues to go forward. Going after another Serral base. Still no 4th base up for Classic, so he has to continue to get this damage.
He's a little bit all in right now. He's going to keep trying to push forward. The counterattack comes in and Warpins come to defend it. The Lurkers have burrowed over here in the main fight. He has to try to storm this. He has to do something to break this. An alternative option would be to blink into the main, and that's exactly what I think he's going to do.
He might. There's a lot of Overlords here that he can get as well. Now, a lot of Hydra Bane going up there, so maybe the blink isn't good anymore. Maybe he had a window there, but he's being very careful. He brings his High Templars forward. If he blinks up, he's going to try to cast Storms, but I think it's too dangerous. He pulls back.
Yeah, it seems like Cyril is basically ready. This is the sign of a great player, by the way. When you don't pull the trigger, you realize, okay, I've done my damage. This Zerg's on 3 bases, by the way. Fourth one just starts in the bottom right, but point in case, they're fairly even in expansions now. They're fairly even in supply. They're fairly even in workers. Classic has now made this game very doable for himself.
He really has. Now, there are lurkers out. The lurkers are really hard to engage with an armor like this. They absolutely shred units like Stalkers. It's hard for the High Templars to stay under their fire because of the low health, but they can throw some Psy Storms down. But that's okay because we have Immortals and Tempests on the way for Classic. You know what? I got to say, this is a beautiful game out of our Protoss player.
It really is. 6 o'clock being reclaimed right now. Zerg's going to try to grow back out, but Cyril's a lot squishier than before. With the Tempest in play here, this is sort of where the game really starts to look good for Classic. He's the very best at this in the whole world. He's going to try to roam around the map again here. I think he could force a cancel over here on this additional base. No attention to the 6 o'clock base right now from the Zerg, although I do think Cyril's doing a decent job of cat and mouse here, being the mouse in this case, trying to just run around and force the Protoss to chase this instead of wiping out expansions.
Well, Cyril is expanding to the bottom right, so it seems like this bottom right general area of the map is going to be where everything's contested. He does actually send some Zealots into this base that he had already killed, and Cyril will push that back. I love that Prism being up there. That is going to be very useful later on.
I was about to ask, I was like, does Classic know about the bottom right base? We just had a vision check that showed us he does have it. We're going to see a push here from Classic, and with a beautiful tag on the lurkers, I mean, then the Tempest can just start to snipe those lurkers, no problem.
Absolutely. He's got a ton of Psy Storm in this army as well, so very hard to run up to it with masses of units. That splash damage will punish Lingbane Hydra so hard.
Okay, the Lings are going to come down here. They're going to hit this Nexus. Ooh. And you know what? There's actually not enough, I think, to save this. Even if he blinks on top of it entirely, the Nexus goes down. Oh!
No. The shield battery is the hero of this game. Saves that Nexus just barely. Very good move there from Classic to heal it up. But Cyril might try again because it's going to be really low.
Okay, so right now we have Classic just outside of this base. He's going to try to push in. These 2 bases on the right are extremely important. And if he sees a weak spot, and he's found one now, he's going to push in and try to take it. So the lurkers are going to come in here. Beautiful storms here on the lurks. And it doesn't seem like he's going to be able to actually drive the Protoss away.
No, it does look like this hatch will end up falling, but another attack coming up. You can see he's put up a lot of static D around this very damaged Nexus. Might want to bring the rest of his army back as a lot of lurkers are flooding in towards his 3rd base. I am a little bit nervous about this for him.
Yeah, it feels like, okay, looks like Cyril's just going to dive in. Can he get around this and do the damage? If he doesn't, Cyril will have overextended, and this punish is going to be nasty.
Well, he does blink forward onto the lurkers. He wants to clear it really quickly, but he is taking a lot of damage onto his Stalkers. He clears everything, saves his 4th base. Cyril, you know, he did lose that bottom right base, but he is on 4 mining bases right now as well.
So we have another move out here. Right now, Classic trying to basically poke this position out here in the bottom right. I think he probably could have taken out that other base, but you know, it's funny, Classic has 1 base he has to keep saving. He just can't afford to lose it. Protoss are never going to recover health there, so that base at 6 o'clock is very fragile. He's going to come in once more. I think the Tempest can just one-shot this if he decides to turn around.
Yeah, I think he will end up getting that. 1 lurker sneaking behind here. Very, very annoying to deal with.
Look
for
at
Classic.
this. He has to send the entire army back to kill off 1 lurker so that he can keep mining. How annoying. He kills it off. Wouldn't hurt to have a cannon or 2 behind the Nexus there.
Really.
Because, you know, Cyril's being very smart. He sees there's not anything to spot behind the minerals. The 1 lurker can change the entire course of the game. Classic going to move out again. We should mention that Classic is actually ahead here in supply, which means that Cyril's defense is going to be very brittle. There is a world where Classic simply breaks the Zerg open and then kills every base that he has.
Yeah, he might be able to. Coming in right now, but the abducts here from those Vipers are very, very strong. He's going to be able to pick off 2 of those expensive Tempests. And that's going to be painful. Oh my gosh, he sneaks another lurker.
The Nexus.
Tasteless. He's going to get the Nexus.
It's going to heal it with a shield battery. I don't think it has enough. Oh my god, that cannon should have been started way long ago. He's going to come down. And he can't save it in time.
That's so painful. That is so painful to lose that 4th Nexus. Classic can't have that many mineral patches left at his other bases. Like, he is running dry. Look at that. Just very, very few minerals left to mine on the map for him. He immediately remakes that 4th base, but it is definitely going to slow his economy.
Storms come down here. And, you know, Cyril is kind of taking control of this game. Protoss is going to be very weak economically. Beautiful storms here as Cyril tries to come in for a surround. Did Cyril overextend, and now will Classic's counterpunch do too much damage to Cyril?
He got a lot of damage down there. A lot of those stalkers are hurt, but here's that warp prism we were talking about before. A little counter warp into that main base. That is going to be very hard for Cyril to deal with while Classic is attacking into this expansion.
It looks like the hatchery could be poked out here. It's low enough, it's going to go down. Meanwhile, the Zealots did so much damage there in the main. We could have another warping round even again. Classic, instead of going up to 12 o'clock, might even try to push a little bit further over here.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if he recognizes that there's a base there at the moment. A few more Lings coming in and utilizing that burrow as well. No detection there, so hard to deal with. These two are just being as annoying as possible to each other.
It's a funny game because they both are barely functioning economically. They have massive armies, but like the income isn't great on either side.
Well, picks off another lurker there, takes a bit of damage, takes all the shields off a lot of those stalkers as well. Time warp goes down. That means he's really looking for the engage. Throws some storms down. You cannot go through that time warp. Throws down storms on the Hydras and drones together. I don't think that Cyril can save this base. I don't think there's any way.
Yeah, there's no way this base is going to survive. Can he maybe take out some of these drones? It looks like he actually only gets about 2. Although 12 overall killed, but 2 that were retreating. I like the burrow over here with the Lings. This is definitely going to play a factor later on. Remember that basically Classic only has 6 o'clock. There are some minerals at the other bases, but they're going to be mined out over the next minute or 2 here. What Cyril needs to worry about now is this sort of marooned 12 o'clock base. I don't think that Classic knows about yet. It seems like there's a blind spot in his scouting. Okay, now he should know.
Yeah.
He should know when he sees the drones over there.
Ooh, the prism gets pulled down. I think that was an all-army hockey there. And hold position lurkers deal a little bit of damage there. Throws down a few storms. He does back up in time. Tempests start to work through these lurkers. As you work through the lurkers, there's nothing blocking. The Psy Storms are coming in, getting on top of those Hydras. Cyril's army just so damaged. The cloak is triggered on this mothership as well. Really great control from Classic.
Okay, he's going to try to maneuver over here. This is a really risky move. He's going to just run by and eat some damage because he knows once he can sit on this base, Zerg is out of position here, especially with that time warp really slowing everything that's going to try to move through there. Is there actually enough? Yes, there is. GG. Classic takes his 2nd victory.
And what does that make it? 3-2 for Cyril.
Oh, baby.
He was feeling on top of the world earlier, but suddenly the match a lot closer.
Beautifully done there by Classic.
29,000.
It was so important in a best of 9 that he wins specifically that match because it's so much closer now. He has tightened up that gap. And again, what an unusual game here. I love the fact that he basically just forced his way over here.
Yeah.
He doesn't care if he loses a lot of these Archons and Stalkers over here in the front because once he's on top of this, it's just too difficult for the Zerg to defend. And again, this was all done off of that 1/4 base that was basically barely giving Classic enough of an income to be viable.
Very, very true. You know, this really shows Classic's skill in those bigger defensive macro games. He went for the 4 bases. He wasn't trying anything tricky. He developed his army normally. And even though Cyril was able to deal massive damage to him, he stayed calm. He cleaned everything up, and he hit a massive counterattack. A beautiful game out of Classic.
Yeah, masterfully done there. Again, had he lost that Nexus too many more times, I think he would have just fizzled out. But that was Classic winning in the way we were talking about before the series started. That's how Classic beats every Zerg in the world, is he just survives into the late game. He's got the Tempest, he's got the Mothership, and his defense against counterattacks is too good, his pushes are too strong, and he plays that positional chess game in the middle of the map so well.
So well.
In the top right, in the red, he is Cyril. And his opponent down here in the bottom right in the blue, he is Classic.
I love this series right now, Tasis. It is so close. You can definitely see from both sides ways in which that they can end up taking this game. Now, you know, Torches is kind of a crazy map. It's got those golden little mineral things that you can mine through. It's got that kind of double gold base in the center that people try to take. We've seen a lot of very cheesy games, a lot of very sneaky builds on this map. Will we see one here from Cyril or possibly from Classic? Or are we just going to go into a regular macro game?
Let's find out, Artosis. The builds are starting to unpack themselves as this game starts. I'm so glad that Classic won his second game because this is so much closer. It is hard to tell who's going to take this. Remember that the first couple of games really came down to really obtuse builds from Classic. Some builds we haven't seen, at least in years in some cases, from Protoss players, like that double Stargate, you know, 4 Oracles to blindside the Zerg in the main. I can't remember the last time I've casted that.
No.
But things have started to normalize, at least kind of what we would have imagined the games to look like before the series started. And Classic is winning in the way that he's known to win.
Well,
And
if
look
he
at these
goes for that
keyboards.
type of game again, is that going to put pressure on Cyril to try to either match him in the macro game, or will Cyril try once again to pull a fast one, you know, kill off that 4th Nexus, try to do some extra harassment around and end up winning that way, because it didn't work last game.
We're taking a look at both players' perspectives here. For now, Classic is going to send his probe through. He's trying to identify the location of the third base. This is a map where there's basically 2 locations the Zerg can take the third at, and a lot of times you want to make your decision on how you're going to approach the matchup once you see where that third hatchery goes.
So Cyril is going to mine out these gold minerals and take his third base. It looks like right there at the regular patches, as opposed to that kind of forward base that's a little bit easier to attack. Of course, the Stargate is on the way, and he's also making that Stalker. Don't forget, the last time we saw the Stalker, it actually heralded that he would play a normal game.
Right. It's funny because a lot of times when you make a Stalker and they can't get inside, from the Zerg's perspective, they're kind of thinking, okay, what are you hiding?
Guess
You
that
don't
was the
want me to
right
see
play.
this, and this is the poker game of StarCraft.
Absolutely.
Where, you know, both players are operating with a degree of incomplete information. You're trying to see, okay, are you behaving in a certain way? Are you trying to hide something from me? Or do I see, you know, you make a lot of workers too early? Oh, you're being greedy.
Yeah.
And that's where, you know, that trying to find something that might telegraph a behavior that could happen later on in the game is so important.
I need to
So
kill
Overlord comes in here,
25.
The Stalker wasn't in a position to
I need to
deny
kill
it, but
25
see the
fucking
Stargate, right? So Stargate's
enemies.
kind of standard.
Yeah. There could be anything behind that. You don't really know for sure, but it's also the most popular opener to just go into a fast third Nexus.
Right. The problem is it's also an incredibly popular opener to go into a cheese too.
Yeah.
So you can scout it and you still don't really know what's going to go on.
Well, the first Oracle flying up across the map, a little Zergling scout will come down and see this third base. Now this is kind of cool and interesting, right? Because their third bases are awfully close to each other.
Yeah.
Like really close compared to most maps.
Yeah, they're almost claustrophobically close to each other. And that means there's a lot of unique timing attacks they can both do to each other. The funny thing is it's not exactly like one race is better at timing attacks in the matchup. You know, they both have their moments in PvZ. That's the ebb and flow of the matchup here. But yeah, it's a funny map because you both spawn on the right side. These bases further towards the center on the right side are extremely desirable. If you expand towards the lower left or upper left here, it's much harder for the other side to really come across the map and hit it just due to the travel distance. So a lot of times they're both just hitting each other and going for the mains even.
Yeah. More gates on the way. Blink and the Forge is coming up. So yeah, it looks like we're going to have Classic kind of power up into a lot of Blink Stalkers, which is exactly what I would suggest. Whether he's going to attack or Cyril's going to attack him, the key is going to be making a lot of Stalkers.
That's right. And I do wonder, and this may be very map specific, do you want to just go mass Blink Stalkers while you're taking a 4th base and just pressure the Zerg? I know that that's not really how Classic plays. That's really more of a hero play.
Yeah.
But it kind of makes sense the way the map is shaped.
That might be a good idea. Few Speedlings running through the center here. He's actually killed like 4 Creep Tumors so far, I think, with these Oracles. That's actually very, very impressive. So, not much much else other than the Overlord and the Zergling being killed off. Still, the Oracles, I think, are doing a fairly good job.
We're going to have a Ling Ravager timing here. The Queens are going to come through here. So basically, Cyril is going to try to flatten and trample Classic in this position. If Classic can hold, he's going to be in a great spot. If Cyril pulls it off, this game is over.
No creep out here for those Queens. They're going to be very slow and having a hard time really supporting. Okay, here we go. A few bios come down. He goes after some of those shield batteries. There is a cannon warping in as well for extra damage. A couple Oracles over here to the side. I think he's waiting to turn those on so the Queens can't hit them. Pulling back, throwing down some force fields here as the Lings start to surround.
Blink is about to finish. That's going to be really handy to dodge these bios, but it's seconds away.
Oh, this is beautiful from Classic. The way he's holding Oracles back so they can't be hit by the Queens is off, and they're really helping out a lot, but the Biles are dealing tons of damage to his army.
Yeah, I'm worried here for Classic. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of room to try to maneuver against this. The walls are closing in. Cyril's getting further and further into this position. There's really nowhere to blink. Corrosive Biles barely dodged, but there's so many Queens, Ravagers, and Roaches.
This is getting very, very bad. Almost every single Stalker has fallen. The energy is gone from these Oracles. The probes have gone down, and so will the Nexus. Classic is going to give up the base. And I will tell you what, I don't know how you're supposed to win after you give up your third. You lose your fourth base? Okay, well, we still have a good economy. We still have good tech. This is too early to take that much damage.
Not only did he give up his base, he lost all the probes that were over there. And it wasn't like Classic had retreated to keep his units alive. He stayed there, and so he lost everything there, too. It's 114 supply to 60. Cyril taking a fourth as Classic has been compacted, has been smushed down to just 2 bases in the bottom right.
There's very little hope here left for Classic. We're going to see what his idea is. It seems to me that he's just going to make a lot of Blink Stalkers and rely on his micro here.
Well, I'll tell you what, Artosis, he did kind of win with a big counterattack in the last game. Maybe he can pull it off this time around as well.
Well, he's going to try at least, right? Like, well, he throws down a new third Nexus to the left-hand side. Right-hand side didn't work. Okay, let's go to the left-hand side. I don't know if I can agree with that, though.
Well,
I feel like that's very slow for a Cyril that's already taking a fort.
He's going to get a Dark Shrine here. Ouch. 2 pylons. I kind of forgot they were there. Now he's supply blocked. How uncomfortable here for Classic. Meanwhile, the Lings come down and deny the Nexus. Things are looking so hopeless here for Classic.
Yeah, this is not a good thing. Healing up that Oracle, okay, well, you may as well because it's not really doing anything else. The Dark Shrine is kind of an interesting idea here, but then the Overseer, of course, dude, Cyril's scouting is so strong.
This is brutal. And of course, Cyril seeing what the last hope plan here is from Classic. I can't imagine how painful this game specifically is here for Classic. And Cyril, this should be a cakewalk for him. Should be very easy. He's going to take this gold base up here. He's actually, not saturating the top left base with drones. So he has expansions, but he's basically using them to produce an army. He's probably thinking, I can just kill his third again and then go back to drone up. Why would I make this game more complicated than it has to be?
I tell you, I think he has to go Disruptor here. I don't know what else he could do. Like, he needs some luck on his side. He could try to make Immortals, but I think he gets overpowered if he goes for Immortals. Like, how do you keep up with Cyril's supply? He'll power through the Immortals. It doesn't matter. So a second Robo comes up, and there it is. There's the support base. So he is going to try, I think, to go into those Disruptors. Of course, they aren't as strong as they once were in StarCraft 2, but still probably his best chance to make magic happen here in game number 6.
Yeah, he's going to come out here. I don't know what the story is with these drones coming up here. It looks like that was.
I think he wanted to mine through so he could attack.
Yeah, you're probably right. He wanted to hit both of those sides over there. Wouldn't even mind seeing, like, I don't know, a Nidus or a, something else, a drop or something. I mean, right now, Classic's below 100 supply, and Cyril's about to max out. I mean, for some perspective here. With literally no place on the map that he can call for a third base.
Yeah.
If he steps out of his base, he will be killed.
That's right. That's why he's hiding behind mineral patches and buildings. But you know what? Once you get like 6 Disruptors, I could see him taking a battle. The problem is Hive is on the way. And, once upon a time, there was like a metagame that we had in this matchup where you go lots of Disruptors against this type of thing, and they just rush up to Vipers and start abducting them in and picking them off. So we'll see if that's what Cyril goes for as a counter. But, yeah, the Disruptors this is like a Hail Mary play here for Classic.
Okay, so it's a bit of a... It's great when you can hide behind these minerals, but you also can't get out of them unless you mine them.
Yeah.
The minerals can't be destroyed. They can only be consumed by workers. So in some ways, Cyril can now turn this on its head. He goes, oh, you're never going to get out of here. If you try to mine that with a probe, I'm going to shoot it down and run back.
So he's actually going to push them back with his oracles. That's a really smart idea. Queen comes up to try to slow that down a little bit, but not a lot of anti-air in the region. Does Classic come out? Well, I mean, he pushed everything back.
The issue is
okay, there he is. There he is. Okay, this is it, Tasteless. This is where Classic shows us what he's made of.
Okay, he needs to have perfect disruptor shots. He's got 4 disruptors in the back. He's going to move out now. The disruptor shots are going to come out, and not exactly that good. The Lynx around is going to come in here, and I just don't know if there's any way that Classic can keep his army alive. GG! Cyril takes another victory.
Cyril now on match point. Very tough series so far here for Classic. Cyril leading 4-2. Classic must win out from here.
He cannot lose any more games, and what a painful loss that was. The game before that was a nail-biter. It wasn't clear who was going to take it until the last minute. This one, we kind of just sat and watched him slowly perish. You know, he finally had the tech to come out here. All these disruptor shots basically didn't do anything. The Lings had already surrounded the Stalkers, even with a blink away like this. Well, he just surrounds you again immediately, and there's nothing you can do.
Yeah. Well, you know, he was in such a bad spot after losing his entire army and a third of his economy. It makes sense that he tried something like that, but nothing else he could do from there.
We're going to go to a short break. When we come back, the 2025 EWC StarCraft 2 Finals continues on.
Level up your gaming experience with over 8 billion playlists, only on Spotify, the official audio streaming partner for the 2025 Esports World Cup.
Puppy from chewing my stuff.
Young dogs need a lot of toys to chew. Maybe a rope toy?
Yeah, I tried that. He's an 8-month terrier.
Gotcha. Well, young terriers are super energetic. How about a run?
Zero is the most powerful number in the world. There are 6 of them in every million. Questrade wants you to have more zeros, so they've changed the game again. Zero commission trades. Now go get yours.
It's not how you get there. It's easy. Get there sooner with personalized budgeting tips and insights in SocialBank.
We've been Mazda owners since 2011.
We have CX-90. It's the complete package. Driving dynamics, reliability, and safety.
I know that every time I buckle my kids into our Mazda, that it helps us get where we're going safely. The moment I got behind the wheel of a Mazda, I knew that I would be a Mazda owner for a very long time.
It's a great vehicle, great brand, great people.
Find out why. Nothing moves you like Mazda.
In every era, a rare few rise above the rest. Now, a new generation emerges, each bearing a key and everything to prove. Success demands perseverance, challenging those who dare to try. They step forward to answer the legend's call.
Rise above at the Esports World Cup.
McDonald's international favorites are disappearing.
Halt! Das war der Hamburger!
Germany's Big Rosti. Then Italy's McPizza Bites. Somehow they've ended up in Canada. Try them all while you
Almost there. We're almost there. 38. There's 12 more. Ah.
We are back and ready to continue on with this best of 9 between Serral and Classic. So far, Serral steadily in the lead.
He has been playing magnificently as expected. Classic has taken a couple of games, an off timing and a great defensive game with very strong counterattacks. That's how he won so far. What does he do now for the rest of the series? Because it is match point. He must win 3 in a row if he wants to be the new world champion.
Which means he has to play perfect games over and over and over. And it just seems like the way the Classic wins is to get to the late game. But what if Serral never lets him get there?
That's a good question. But if Serral isn't letting him get to the late game, that opens up the opportunity for Classic to play his great defensive style and get to the late game regardless.
We're going to be going into this match momentarily. Remember, Serral just needs to win 1 game. So it's an extremely challenging position. The further the disparity in score is in a series in StarCraft, the more experimental, the more high risk the strategies are that Serral, in this case the leader, can try to pull off. So Classic has a very, very difficult series to try to navigate if he's going to become the EWC StarCraft 2 champion. But we've seen players come back before.
We certainly have.
Daryl's thinking I should let him win.
Runbacks in the history of StarCraft 2. You know, this game has been out for a good 15 years now. One of these guys about to become that 15th year world champion.
StarCraft 2 getting better and better every year, aging like a fine wine. We are so close to deciding who is going to be the esports World Cup champion here between Serral and Classic. Again, Serral, if he wins 1 more, he's going to take it. Classic has a hard road up ahead, but it is possible. Introducing our players in the top left. In the red, he is Serral. And his opponent down here in the bottom right, in the blue, he is Classic.
Excited to see what Classic is going to choose to do. You know, whatever he does, all of his eggs are in that basket.
Right.
There's no taking anything back at this point. There's no more experimentation. He must play what he thinks will win each individual game.
We should point out as well, there's been 2 perfect Overlord scouts that identified what kind of game was going to happen here from Serral, and he won those promptly. He had a very, very easy game. And so, you know, the Overlord scouting being so spot on, can Classic even pull, you know, a curveball off here? Can he really have a surprise opening? It feels like it's been pretty rough. He had one where he basically forced his way through the Evo wall with the Adepts, and then he did a magnificent job killing drones. But Serral's scouting's been very good. I mean, he's really the quintessential god of Zerg, in that he is able to survey, to identify, even if it's only on a couple of hints or movement patterns by the units, he sees what's coming and then he reacts accordingly, gets ahead and closes it out with a win.
I really do think that Serral's understanding of the game is a step above everyone else's, including other world champions and basically everyone in the world. And I think that really, really helps him out with his fantastic mechanics. You really do have to either catch him out guard or simply outplay him by blocking everything he does like Classic did in one of those previous wins.
We've We've got the scouting probe checking to see if they can find the third base. It's going to be the Stargate, a familiar tech so far. I guess in general in PvZ, but certainly so with Classic. By the way, a real chance we don't have any of that hidden Robotech Artosis. We've got to see, you know, once the Stargate finishes, the next couple of tech buildings are going to be laid out, and then we can basically identify what kind of game Classic wants to play. Yeah.
Well, that Stargate coming up, I do expect to see the Oracle very quickly. It'd be quite a shock, quite a surprise to see a Phoenix or a Void Ray started. There's the Oracle. This Adept still just kind of scouting around a little bit. It's not going to be able to pick up any damage as of yet. Just taking a tiny little bit of damage beyond the shields. And from here, like, you know, the standard play would be another Nexus coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think we're all expecting is the Nexus. Remember that a lot of these games, Cyril's been really good at sending an unusually large amount of Lings out and denying that. And I think part of that's because he knows that when the second Oracle's out, Classic tends to look for workers. By the way, we've got 2 Adepts coming through here now for a little bit of harassment. He's actually going to shade those in, and he's going to go for another worker.
All right. And I think that's going to be all he can really get. Wait, one more maybe. Ooh,
nice.
Very good save there from Cyril. But in comes the Oracle now. So a little bit more drone damage, but a lot of damage onto that Oracle as well.
Yeah, the damage from the Oracle, you know, you're not going to recover from that. So it's hard, right? Because then the 2 Oracles, when they're paired together, can't come in. He does have the Adept and the Oracle ready for the Smalling deny on the Nexus, but Cyril pulls away immediately. Quick evolution chamber here for Cyril being thrown down in the back of his base. The Lings are just going to be, you know, probing the outside of the base, trying to get any information. Are there any upgrades coming? Can you see any kind of units that are beginning to be gathered? And the Overlord Scout comes in and sees a Forge. And a Forge, basically, in a game like this, always means you're going to be invested in a long game, because otherwise there would be no need to make it. You need upgrades if you're going to have a Forge. You see a Forge extremely early on, it would be a cannon rush, but obviously that's not going to be this kind of game.
You know, looking at how Classic's playing it so far, this looks like his very standard, very normal macro play. The same can be said on Cyril's side, right? He's getting his melee attack. Here's the Roach Warren still droning up as he can. A few units here and there as he feels like he needs them. But nothing too aggressive from either player. This might be the game that we've kind of been waiting for and saying that we really want to see, but we do have to hold on a minute, right? Like, there is, of course, as you were saying before, timing attacks that can come out from both sides.
Right. I mean, the matchup's pretty dynamic in that sense. Definitely, each of the races takes on different roles at different times. But this is sort of the game we were talking about before the best of 9 started, at least from Classic's perspective. Sure, if they don't do something too aggro and specific, most of the time they're surveying and reacting. And so this is the game I think Classic is closest to being the best at.
Yes.
But again, even when he gets to play those games, Cyril is a very worthy opponent and very tough to stop. The second Oracle takes quite a bit of damage as well, only stunning 1 drone. Scouting the 4th base is 9 more, actually 11 more drones are about to hack.
Baneling Nest is actually on the way here, so we might see Cyril try to get some Baneling speed going, like rolling in to get a little bit of damage. Possibly, you know, it could be like Baneling drops. Maybe he wants to go into like a Ling Bane Hydra type of composition. That's been kind of popular lately amongst the good Zerg players. And he does throw down that Hydralisk Den, so it does look like it'll be the latter.
Okay, so we've got Storm halfway done. And Storm is something that basically ensures that, you know, especially with things like Roaches and Ravagers, it's hard for them to ever get in there and do the damage they want to do. The 2 Oracles are doing a good job clearing out creep tumors. As long as they don't die, even if the health is low, they're still getting the job done.
Absolutely. Clearing a bit of creep here and there. Very, very nice so far.
So we've got Lings moving around the map right now. It's a quiet game. You know, there's not a whole lot happening, and that's because they are both powering up. We see a few more Lings moving out here. I don't think this is going to be able to do that much. When you see the gateways out here like this, over at that 3rd base, excuse me, because Protoss is on 4 bases, a lot of times Protoss is trying to make walls. They're like this cannon here. You're trying to defend that. You want to make sure that when the counterattacks come in, the cannon can get shots off. It's not going to be killed immediately. The Templars tucked behind the cannon can storm. you need to basically have a very good sim city, as they would say in StarCraft, a good defensive setup with your structures so that you're barricaded into your base.
And that's going to be crucial because it is a Ling Bane Hydra composition coming out of Serral. This is an attack that can come in and oftentimes clear out one of the bases, whether it's the third or the fourth for Protoss. Looking at how Classic's playing it, he is getting his Stargates going, you know, adding in his charge upgrade. He's got the Robo now, so he's really trying to complete his tech tree.
And it's so important that you defend properly here as the Protoss. I mean, if you can defend this, if you can keep your bases alive. By the way, we have a Drop Overlord set up here. Serral's the master at hitting a ton of locations at once. Yeah. We've seen this before. So he's going to have 4 Drop Overlords total. And it's going to be about Classic trying to defend here, parry the next attack, ensure the main is safe, and try to keep all of that critical infrastructure and expansions alive.
Oh, he barely missed those 3 and the other one. Just barely did not see them. If he had scouted any of those, this would be much harder to pull off. But right now, Serral has the element of surprise on his side.
So he's got 4 Overlords with Lings to drop in the main. He has Banelings ready, I believe, to drop into the expansion as there's going to be a hit squad over here of Lings and Banes and Hydras to hit the 4th. So this is really a game about having your opponent screen in the wrong spot. If you don't respond to this perfectly, you could take fatal damage at any one of these 3 locations.
Yeah, this could go badly for Classic, but if he can block it all, if he can keep his High Templar count high, he'll be at an advantage.
Remember, there's a huge gas dump here on these Banelings. He's going to storm some of these. That's going to be a big deny. That's a lot less damage, but still a lot more Bane's going to try to come in now.
Boy, really great defense so far, but now the Ling's being dropped. You can see in the picture-in-picture in the main base, a lot being dropped in there. Makes a couple of Archons. Okay, the Banelings do roll through, and they're going to kill a few probes here, but so far, he is holding. Now, here comes another Overlord with Banelings into that 3rd base location. And 32 probes have fallen, but Classic still has 55.
The problem is these Lings are doing so much damage in the main with 32 workers killed. And remember that 4th base Nexus, it's very much softened. It's a very bruised Nexus, so another attack in there could end up wiping it out.
And he is coming back for another attack as well. Ling Hydra just going to go up and target it down. Bad news here for Classic as he loses his 4th base.
And he doesn't overextend. Serral decides to pull back. And that, between those two, oh my God, he's going to wind up and do another one here as well. So he's going to macro up. Serral nearly maxed out. Classic's ready to defend this. But Serral's going to rotate towards the 4th. Now, we talked about the barricaded position. He's got it. Okay, he's ready for this. Is he watching? He's going to unload, and Classic wasn't targeting.
Okay, yeah, he kills a couple of them, but a lot of those get out. Now Banelings rolling into that 3rd base location. He's going to kill even more probes. 12 probes fall, and the 3rd Nexus likely to go down now as well.
And with this Nexus falling, it's hard to imagine that there's any way that Classic can survive, and Serral, being careful, backs up. He's not going to overextend once more.
Oh my gosh, Serral is so close right now to a 3rd World Championship. Is he going to be able to close Classic out? Classic's starting to push for it. He has a lot of Archons in here. They can do well against the Ling Bane, but there's a lot of Hydras in there as well. He slows them down. He does pick one off. Overall, a good trade for Classic, but Classic is way behind in supply.
That's right. Some regrouping here from Classic. Now, he's gotten a lot of his tech up. Archons are going to be very helpful with the Templars. It's a little bit harder to actually get in there and do that damage. But
yeah, I wasn't paying attention.
On Serral's side of the map, the fact that he's gone untouched, uninterrupted.
It's match point, isn't it? Oh, fuck, this is match point.
Classic scrambling, trying to
get
back on his feet, as we see Serral is going to wind up here for another attack. Not even a Nexus here to deny, but why not come in and do a little bit more damage?
Oh man, the Banelings roll in. He does block those very, very well, but this little attack getting into his natural. I mean, you can't be losing anything right now as Classic. You really have to rebuild your economy, not take more damage.
More Lings coming in here into the main. It's just getting worse and worse here for Classic. He's just not able to put out all these fires as Serral is throwing so many things at him at once.
Serral is causing more problems than at the moment. He brings up some Zealots to help clear out some of these Zerglings that were in there. He does have a lot of static defense. Looks like we have more tech coming up from Serral as well, though. Lurkers on the way, Spire coming up, Adrenal Glands. He can get into Broodlords eventually. not looking good for our Protoss.
And this is a very good way to finish off the Protoss that's this behind, is you set up every kind of attack, and maybe you throw everything at the Protoss and then look at what they've got and go, okay, I'll make the units that counter that, and you close out the game.
All right, Lurker's coming up to attack into this newer base. He has started another Nexus at the other location, but can he clear these Lurkers? The Lurker's repositioning slightly as he sees Classic trying to leave.
The Lings are going to come in again. There's just nothing to defend. Any overstepping here by Classic is going to be a lot of damage eaten up over here. The Nexus denied once more. Protoss barely on 3 bases as we see Cyril hitting this location as well.
Almost nothing left here for Classic. He might end up losing that base. That's basically the only place he's mining off of. Very few mineral patches in his main and natural left over. Yeah, that Nexus is going to go down. Classic with a counterattack. This is his last chance in this tournament.
The Lurker's going to shimmy up here, and this is going to be a position where Classic can't push through. He's going to try to do some damage, but the army supply is just so high here for Cyril. This is a Hail Mary play here from Classic.
A lot of Psy Storms going down. The Lurker's very, very clump, so he is getting good damage there, but I don't know that his damage output is high enough. Ling's coming up for the surround. Lurker's burrow as well. Classic letting out a breath there as he knows that his chances are just about gone.
That's right, GG! Cyril has done it, defeating Classic 5-2.
Unbelievable play here from the now 3-time world champion. There is no denying it. This is the greatest player in the world, Cyril.
An incredible series there. I thought Classic put up a great fight, but at the end of the day, you could just see that Cyril was too complete, had too much of a deep understanding of the tricky stuff Classic threw at him, as well as the macro play. He was able to go toe-to-toe with Classic there too.
This was just beautifully done by Cyril, finishing Classic off with multi-pronged drops as well as an attack. There was nothing left for Classic to do. He tried to counterattack, but Cyril was too strong.
An incredible series. He has done it. He has overcome all odds, and he will now take his key and place it here and cement his place in history. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Cyril. He is your 2025 EWC StarCraft 2 World Champion.
That was 12. I need 6 more. Fuck.
Cyril, an incredible performance. Once again, you are our world champion. 2 games, though, Classic took off you. We saw your heart rate soar to numbers that we haven't seen throughout this whole tournament. Did you ever think that you would not be standing here at the end of today?
To be honest, after a 2-0 start, I was extremely confident, and the couple hiccups didn't bother me too much.
Glad to hear it.
Cyril, 3 years since you've been crowned a world champion. Your 3rd world championship title. The undisputed greatest player in the history of StarCraft 2. Tell me, how does it feel?
It feels absolutely fantastic. This is what I came for, and this is what I got, so it's the best feeling in the world.
That's honestly incredible. Now, one more question for you. 3 keys to choose to add to your trophy. Who are you choosing? You can't choose Clem. You didn't beat him. You had to beat him to take his key. So who would you choose out of the rest of the competitors at the Esports World Cup?
Well, I feel like I only beat 5 people, so there isn't that many options, but I'd like to get Classic ski and Kur's ski, and I don't want to take Rainer's ski just because he's my teammate, so I'll have to go with Gabe then, because he's the last one left.
Fantastic. Now again comes the day of the king. You should be well familiar, Cyril, with how to do this by now. Hold your trophy high as I present to you the 2025 Esports World Cup StarCraft 2 World Champion, Basilisk Serral.
4 days ago, that man said to me, it's time for the return of the true world champion. And he has not only claimed one, he has not only claimed two, he has now claimed 3 world championships in StarCraft 2. Was it a foregone conclusion in our best of 9 grand finals here, as Classic did fight back? Classic did try tricks. Classic did try everything he could to deal with Serral, but it was not enough. The greatest of all time is now a 3-time world champion.
His legacy just continues to grow, Kalaris. And I'm not talking about SC2 legacy, because that was already as big as it is. We're talking as an esports player overall. What this man is doing is just absolutely unbelievable. A BlizzCon champ, a 2-time Katowice champ, and now also an esports World Cup champion. He had to dig deep, he had to play incredibly well against the guy that took him down not even 2 months ago, but Serral is just so incredibly complete. There is nothing the man cannot do. He's good with the links, he's good with the roads, he's good with the high drops, fantastic with the spellcasters, lurkers, link drops, multitasking. We've seen it all, the whole Zerg arsenal. Serral is truly one of a kind.
And what's amazing about his wins is that it always feels like there is something that should be going against him. There's something about the maps, you know, how difficult they are in TVZ. There's something about where Protoss' state is. There's something about, hey, non-Koreans can't win a global championship. And he continues to not even care. He comes in, he dominates in every matchup, and every place that every other Zerg player says, it's too hard, I can't quite do it, Serral shows how it's done.
You're right. In StarCraft 2, there is nobody quite like this man. In esports, there's nobody quite like this man. In terms of individual skill, really, is anybody able to match up to where Serral is, to where the lineage is here in StarCraft 2? In esports, he plays at 1,000,000 miles an hour. We saw it in the POVs, and it's clean. It's consistent. That man is a machine.
I mean, I'm running out of ways to praise the man, because we've done it all, we've said it all, and he absolutely deserves it. He is just so incredibly complete, and he continues to impress us. Even if we know what he's capable of, you watch it, you see how good some of his opponents look against Zerg, and you want, like, even for Serral, this is going to be tough, right? No, Serral gets a convincing win, and you're like, maybe that guy wasn't that good in the matchup. That guy continues to look impressive against everybody else that is not a Serral. And what a way, by the way, to kind of like rinse off that little last year grand final. That was obviously a painful one on the biggest stage. I mean, that is a way to set the record straight. We can sing his praise all day, and he deserves it.
There's no disputing it. The greatest of all time.
Yeah.
It's undisputed. 3-time world champion. If there were any doubts from anybody out there now, those are gone.
Absolutely. You know, there's been a bit of discourse around this, to say the least. Earlier on, maybe it was a little too preemptive, but then year after year, Serral continued proving so many people wrong. Every time he thought that he would start to fail, that maybe he would start to falter, he wouldn't come in as consistently as previously. We don't see him in these online tournaments. What does he really look like? Every year he has come back to deliver, and it's just something that we will maybe never see again. This might be the only person who can do this in such a tough history game as StarCraft.
Agreed.
I mean, as Roddy said, it feels like we can't say enough, but we've also said so much already.
Well, it shows the measure of the mountain that was needing to be climbed for Classic, right? When he comes in and he's trying some little tricks here and there, right, to start things off. Some things to try and subvert maybe Serral's expectations about what may happen in a very grueling, long, potential best of 9.
It was a fun best best of 9. I mean, starting off game 1 with a double aura, a double Stargate, multiple oracles after a Void Race. Like, okay, that's a little bit crazy, but I like it because we did say Classic, as good as you are in late game, you can't just aim for the late game each and every single game. You're going to have to switch it up. You're going to have to keep Zero in the dark, and he absolutely tried that. And he had his moments in this grand final, right? The way that those adepts were bouncing all over the shop, killing over 21 drones. And what I love the most is that he didn't make the mistake that a lot of Pro players make in that game on Ultra Love. You deal so much damage, and then they're like, okay, cool, so now we macro and I'm ahead, right? And they have like no units at home. Like, no, just build an extra Oracle. You've got the money, use that Stargate. He got stasis traps down, he got cannons and batteries. That was a fantastic hold. Not an easy one, but Classic also looked really good and had a lot of great moments, but what on earth do you do against the Finnish Phenom? I mean, Ceros. He does it again, James.
He does it again. Here's the prize pool, and congratulations. Cyril walks away with $200,000, as well as the World Championship title, as we take a look at the list of players that were littered by the wayside here, and on his road to victory, on his road to the championship. We have Classic walking away with $100,000, and he also bags himself 700 points here for Virtus Pro. Basilisk, not representing in many games, will bag themselves 1,000 points here. Put them
5
on the map. Of course, as you can see here in StarCraft 2, once your team has qualified for a certain amount of points, say for example, Reina will not be eligible for points. Only one player can earn the points, Roddy, in the club championships here in the 1v1s.
That is correct. I mean, we are active in chess. We have a German chess player who's currently battling it out in the last chance qualifier over here. So obviously we're going to be rooting for him, and we'll be following his journey. But even if it stays with Zero, hey, that's still 1,000 points. There are not a lot of esports orgs out there that will finish with 1,000 points or more at Esports World Cup. So something that Zero and Basilisk can be very proud of.
Meanwhile, here's the club championships as it does stand. So this has a bit of bearing on those standings. As you could see there, Virtus Pro with 1,500 points. Here's EG, it moves them up a little bit, so they can be proud of what Classic has done here for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, you know, to focus in on Classic, you were talking a lot about Cyril and how great he is, and we can't say enough, and he just continues to push the boundaries of what we expect from our players. Classic has pushed the boundaries of what we expect from the Protoss players. He absolutely deserves that title for this tournament, even though he did not win it. Everyone thought he was looking like the best. He looked like he really could play Protoss the absolute best. And I still think he proved it to a certain degree. It's just that Cyril is the machine. But overall, this tournament has been pushing what we expect from every single race in StarCraft 2, and that's really awesome.
Cyril on his way to claim his 3 keys to imbue in resin below the trophy that he has claimed. So he will be picking there. There's Keyman! Who is Keyman? But most
Classic,
importantly,
right? That is
Classic will be taken.
So I heard, by the way, and I don't know if this is 100% accurate or not, that he's not allowed to pick Clemson.
Correct. That is
because
correct.
he is not the one who eliminated the previous champ.
Only Classic was allowed.
Yeah, so that is a bit of a shame because I'm sure he would have loved to put it in. I guess the second one is...
Pure. He'll pick his road through the round of 8 shortly.
Yeah.
Who is
that is a long name. That's
is
longer
that
than Raynor. I think that might...
Marie?
I think he might have just said, I want a big trophy. I'm going to put Big Gabe in there.
No way.
I think that's Big Gabe.
Oh my days.
Maybe out of love and respect for Raynor, he doesn't want to put Raynor's crush key in the trophy.
Perhaps. That is a good point, actually. Yes. Being teammates, being oh so close.
That was... I mean, Cero has looked fantastic throughout the entire event, James, and we're going to sing his praise forever, but we cannot forget about that nail-biting quarterfinals where Cero was in trouble in Game 3 and was in all sorts of trouble in Game 5.
The butterfly effect. Who knows what would have happened had Reina defeated Cyril in that game. That could have been, as you saw there in the bracket as well, that could have changed history, basically.
And honestly, another heartbreaker for Reina, right? Because he lost to the eventual champion, the guy who was once again just like a little bit more perfect, basically, right? There's a different bracket or just that one last game, and I think Reina's the champion.
Of course, we value your feedback, and here for StarCraft 2, scan this QR code, go further now, and make sure they know we want to be back. We want to see more StarCraft 2, as well as everything that has been going on here. I'm not beating around the bush, guys. Like, we love StarCraft 2 here. We've had 15 years. We're coming up on the 15th anniversary of Rotterdam, and this game is unique phenomenal, fantastic. There's nothing like it in esports.
I love the speech. Gives me goosebumps, James. And it's not just for us, but these players as well, right? We see how much it means to them. Like, they will continue to enjoy StarCraft and they will continue to compete, even if it's on a smaller stage. But it means so much to them to be presented on the biggest stage there is in esports, to really have that landmark event in the summer to look forward to, where they're playing for all the money and all the legacy and all the history. It is an absolute pleasure being here, and I hope we'll be back, and I know you'll do your best. And one thing is for sure, James, if we won't be back, it's because of your hosting, because that was fantastic.
Oh, you. No, I've had an amazing time, ZG, and looking at how things have played out every single day of games. I came in day 1, day 2, and looking at how the games went, I was so happy with all of the effort that our pro gamers have put into showing a spectacular showing. Everyone is so hungry to become the world champion, and it's understandably so when you see the quality of the games.
Yeah, every so often there's always this this wonderment, you know, like, does StarCraft settle? You know, is it just going to do the same thing in the next tournament? And that
for
was
each
definitely
foot.
a question coming in to EWC. But like any big, large, amazing premier tournament before it, we think we know what's going to happen, and the pro gamers have something up their sleeve.
Yeah.
The environment changes how we expect things to go down, and it creates some very fun, amazing games. And I'm just happy that we get to see StarCraft 2 continue pushing forward.
Definitely, definitely. And hey, if Rainer gets a little bit more fortunate with some brackets, we'll probably be in the World Championship final again, Roddy, because it's Clem, it's Cyril being able to defeat him in some of these. But again, for our South Korean pro gamers as well, I think they really fought back here in 2025. They looked brilliant in all of these matches leading forward, and even some of the names that we didn't expect, like Maro going out a little bit earlier compared to all these other guys. The level is getting big.
3 out of 4 in the semifinals. That has not always been the case over the last few years, and there were also a lot of moments where we thought this could very well be finally a Korean champ again, because that's been a little while too, of course.
2 more.
In 2019, they looked really good. Clearly, they put in countless of time and effort, and they've showcased some amazing strategies. It was a lot of fun to watch our favorite Korean legends, and they got close, but the Finnish phenom, again, had something to say about it.
Yeah, and I think that was a storyline we set up beforehand, right? Where it just feels like he is inevitable. He is going to be the one non-Korean that is there, and he is going to take everyone out, apparently, for another few years at least.
Yeah. And what else do we say other than singing Cyril's praises, right? We're just waiting, of course, for Cyril to reach the totem so he can embed his frame in there for Basilisk, as well as, of course, Cyril himself becoming the world champ.
I mean, we can talk a little bit about the game specifically, because there was a lot of variety in this best of 9, which of course we expect. It's a best of 9, so there's a lot of games to be played, but I really love the triple prong by Cyril on Meganetha. The big Hydra Ling army with a bunch of Banelings at the 3rd, the double Ling drop in the main, and then the Baneling drop at the 4th as well. And you see Classic scrambling, and he's playing like an absolute god, the hope of Ire, and he has truly lived up to all the hype and praise we gave him and all the fans out there in this tournament. He did a really good job in somehow taking care of fire after fire, but in the end there was just a little bit. I love to see Cyril also truly embracing the swarm, right? Because it's hard to criticize this guy, but if there is one tiny point of criticism that some fans had in the past where they're like, well, he's just like not that exciting, he's so perfect, and he just sits back. That wasn't the case here. I thought he was explosive, I thought he was swarmy.
Actually, I thought that was something that a lot of the pro gamers showed off, honestly, because Classic is included in that, where, you know, we do still have some tendencies to watch a game unfold, and we're like, well, that person's probably going to win, but the follow-up's not quite quick enough. It's a little too, you know, cumbersome to actually really deliver the final blow. And Cyril was obviously the best at it, actually going in and killing him right when he had the opportunity. But even Classic, right? Like, he knew if he was taking damage, he needed to go across the map instantly. He did it. And this is something that is also an improvement from some of the previous years. And I'm glad to see that everyone's kind of getting on board on making this very action-packed and exciting.
Yeah, that counter on ley lines was amazing. Like, you take a lot of damage, it's difficult, but then you look at your army, you're like, you know what? If I run to the other side of the map right now, and what I love the most is that he took out the 5th, he took out the 4th, that was a triangle expand, but then he didn't make the mistake of like, well, I still have to finish it here. Like, no, you've done enough. You've killed drones, you've killed bases, and he retreated. Classic played at an exceptionally high level, not just in this series, but throughout the entire tournament. And I think he can look back at these points World Cup that he can be very proud of.
We're of course witnessing a moment here as Cyril
Give me a fucking board clear.
His frame upon it to confirm exactly what we already know. And here we have Mike McCabe the Chief Operating Officer of the Esports World Cup Foundation, ready to award the frame. Of course, he will be moving on up here to be able to place it. What a moment coming in from Cyril. Of course, now the 3 times world champion here. He will be making history for the Esports World Cup, and long may his reign continue. Ladies and gentlemen, we have ourselves Cyril representing Basilisk as he ascends the totem here for 2025. And of course, there it is. There it is, ladies and gentlemen, our world champion, Cyril. Amazing stuff coming in. Spectacular scenes. Well done, Cyril. Congratulations to him, Rotterdam. I'm sure you've got to be happy about this one.
I'm very happy for him. I mean, he's had such a beautiful career. We said it before. Once every 4 years, apparently. So perhaps if we make it to 2013, James, or 2018, 2022, 2026, everyone better be afraid of Yona in 2030 because he's going to hit different. But no, this is beautiful. And I got to say, I really love the scenery. And this is all so incredibly cool. Like the as a tournament series is on point. This is incredibly awesome to watch.
The question is, who isn't afraid of Jonas Atala, 2025 Esports World Cup StarCraft 2 champion?
Come on.
Cyril.
This is just fucking joking with me, man. Gotta poop.
How do I stop my new puppy from chewing my stuff?
Young dogs need a lot of toys to chew. Maybe a rope toy?
Yeah, I tried that. He's an 8-month terrier.
Gotcha. Well, young terriers are super energetic. How about a run?
Look, I believe you.
Ah, stupid, fucking stupid.
It's not how you get there. sooner with personalized budgeting tips and insights from Scotiabank.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Live from Riyadh.
Week 1 of the Esports World Cup has concluded. 4 champions were crowned. Team Heretics as the first ever EWC Valorant champions. Goichi as the inaugural Fatal Fury champion. Team Redline won again in Sports, becoming the first back-to-back champion. VK Gaming stunned the Apex Legends scene, taking the win for Asia Pacific. To keep up with all the action, tune in next week.
Calgary's general election is on October 20th, 2025. This year, Calgarians must register to vote in the general election. You can check your information or register before August 1st at voterlink.ab.ca.
Play to win all these prizes and a chance at the big one. Wait for it. Now that's big. Play at rockpaperprizes.com for a chance at the big prize with Circle K.
I gotta poop. Come on, buddy. I just need to kill 2 of your dudes. Love it. More land. Give me more land. Yes. Squall. Left 5 laps. And it will be wide. Nothing. Fuck you, man. Fuck you, me. Or Oh, I love that. Put out an artifact or an enchantment, please. Come on, baby. I want to joke on you. I want to joke on you. And I still gotta poop. I want to joke and I want to poo. Joke poo. Come on, come on. Jokey poo poo. Do you see the line? Finally. One more for a card. One more for a card. I still got a poo. But we'll go for a quick win. One attempt. One attempt. I think it. I'll take it. These counter each other, that's right. Oh yeah, I remember that.
Rise to evil's challenges. I worry evil grows.
I'm cool with that too. Let's go, baby. Put out all the things. Counter me. He's gonna use himself. wanna poo. I want to poo. All I wanna do is go and have a fucking poo.
We are the apex predators.
This is shoot my one chance. Come on.
We are the apex predators.
Let's go.
Remember, you reap what you sow.
GG. No. It looks better. You can still see the square though. I don't want to go in there. I want to save it here. Why? Why is it doing this to me? Okay. This is a wild opening. Oh, I should have fucking... We need a blue. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Fucking uh-oh. We get in, we can survive. Get in. It's gotta be within the next 2 turns. They counter each other, so... Fuck. He's going for a land. Fuck. Fuck.
Are you ready?
Oh. Fuck. Fuck. Chance for another land. Chance for another land. Let's go.
I summon you.
He can do his ult, and we'll just kill everything. Right? Let's harmonize. Wow, that's insane. That's so cool. This is the ultimate dragon deck. Well, maybe not. We could have done more. Wow. Incredible. So nice. Yes. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Oh, I'm still alive. I'll do it for fun. I should have clicked the fucking pass turn. I'm just gonna destroy everything. $104.66. Everything super doubles up in power. Do I let him do this or do I depopulate him? He can't do anything about it. Oh no. I'm faced with a dilemma. Fuck. No! Which ones are those guys? 8? Oh wow. Sorry, I'm laughing really loud. I'll turn my mic down a bit. Holy fuck. That was insane. I just wanted to see what that was all about, and wow. Oh, is he gonna be a dinosaur guy? We're gonna have to deal with dinosaurs. This is an interesting start. If we're getting gypped on land again, I'm just gonna quit early. There we go. The hell? It's a bird wall? What the hell is that? It looks like a bird. I need another white. Oh, yeah, I was feeling pretty good about that too. That was one of the more useful openings. He was smart to do that. Frog. I love magic, to be honest. You feel intelligent when you make decks that can survive, that people can be scared of. Oof. This is nasty. What the fuck? Let's go for lands, I guess. Oh. That's fucking nice. I hope he doesn't have anything for that. He's out of land. But he's gonna be able to make more of these. As long as I can defend into the 7. Nice. Here we go. But it's just a regular Plains. Ooh. I'm just building up to this terrible, terrible thing. Oh my goodness. Wow. That's beautiful. I can destroy all creatures. Yeah, who knows? Oh yeah, I had fun. How could you say no to that question? And how didn't he have any cards? Well, I guess it's happened to me. That's weird. cigar this. I think that'll be alright.
Let your soul be a wellspring that nourishes the world. Try to find the good in your heart. some humility.
Need more intel.
Realize your actions are misguided. Stay your hand. Let's talk.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do at that point. Got my win, finally. Alright, I think we're tapped out. I'm just going to refresh the stream.